Hey, yet
Hello.
again, we have returned, and I am your host. You already know who I am. It's written on the bottom of the screen. This ain't new, and it ain't new over on the other side with my co-host Queen Smoke. But we got a couple new gadgets, man. I want to hit the little sound thing.
You can hear, yeah. You're muted.
I'm still cheering. I got ahead of myself. So I got excited because my wife made an investment in what I'm doing. Shout out to my wife, Miss Gina.
Thank you, Miss Gina.
Y'all say what up to Miss Gina, But
Absolutely.
nah, man, it felt really good to be able to remedy some tech issues that I had, and you know, but we got an interesting topic today.
Yes, yes.
You always come with some pot stirring, soul grabbing, you
I
know,
know. I know. And
but
I
but
just think,
you don't address anything that we don't need to see addressed.
right. And that's the thing. That's my whole point. That's the message from my whole content is like, in order for the Black community to do well, in order for us to thrive, we have to address. It's not even systemic right now, because right now we are our own worst enemies. Especially in relationships, especially creating an unstable household for our children before they're ever created, and because we have unstable mindsets.
Mhm.
Especially in our women. Um, so with this subject today, don't tell daddy, it's just gonna break down how the same Black women that cry and say that they're overwhelmed and that they're doing things by themselves and that they're struggling are the same women that don't want to help, don't want to collaborate with the children of the fathers of their children. The same women that say they tired of wearing the cape, they tired of doing it all alone, are the same women that ask men to hold men accountable while still being a mother that um, severs a relationship with her children and their father. And so this is something that's very important. Not only does it affect our men, but it affects our children. And how do I know, how do you know that I'm speaking about you as a woman? How do you know that you're the type of woman that I'm talking about? Because you guys do the same. You behave the same way in your relationships. That's why they end. You're the same childish person. You're the same person that um, you think this Black man is supposed to be performing for your love the same way you perform for your mother's love. And that's why it ends. A lot of Black women do get blessed with good men. They just weren't trained, and I know that word is scary for so many. They weren't trained how to act. They weren't trained how to behave. And it's important because when you play with the life of your Black child, you play, you lie, you manipulate this child, you end up making a carbon copy of you. And then, as soon as your child gives you some backlash, some resistance, then you want to call the dad. The same man that has no relationship. The same man that won't have any he won't make a difference, because you taught your children that he's not to be respected. You taught your children how to not value him, not value his opinion. You're gonna win. And when you create these circumstances for your children and for their father, you win what you want. You actually win. The dysfunctional children, the toxic children, and the disrespect will backlash on you, mama, eventually. It really will. Your children are going to be afraid of you forever, and your children will challenge you when they become adults. And the really bad scenario is they may go no contact, don't even care about making it right, don't even care about a relationship with you. A lot of you love to speak on men dying alone and being alone. It's really sad when you have children and grandchildren, and they won't come visit you. You're not allowed to see your grandchildren. That's a real sad reality, that you actually did all the raising. You did all the sacrificing like you claim. You know what I mean? You take all the credit. But your production is that the children that you produce don't want a relationship with you. And they don't want your grandchildren to be with you. So when we talk about don't tell daddy, we're talking about all the credit. But your production is that the children that you produce don't want a relationship with you. And they don't want your grandchildren to be with you. So when we talk about don't tell
All of the
daddy,
above.
we're talking about all the above. But your production is
That
the
is
children that you produce don't
going
want
to
a
be an
relationship with you.
interesting
And they don't want your
segue
grandchildren to
into how
So when we
this
talk about don't
conversation,
tell
all of the
daddy,
above, because
we're talking
that's a
about all the
lot.
above.
to process that
when
is
you
really going to be an interesting, like segue into just the outcomes. The outcomes of it is just something that you can't overlook.
When I said women are becoming incels on this app,
But before we get to that deep topic, we always got to have something is to kind of like break the ice, right? So
when I said women are becoming incels,
I don't know how you guys use TikTok. I use it all the time, but I'm just an observer of it. Is to kind of like break the ice, right? So and I pay attention to what other people pay attention to, and I try to figure out how does that play into any of the things that we discuss over here. And I ran across this video, and it's about 3.5 minutes. And I don't know. I'm just let it play. We're gonna have a discussion about it.
I did not say misandry is as bad as misogyny. What I am saying is you guys are both upholding patriarchy in the way that you talk about these issues. Okay? When you talk down on men, you are talking down on all men. You're talking down on like the lonely dude who has no hate in his heart. He's just down on his luck. You're talking down on the gay dude, the bi dude, the trans person. You feel me? Like you're talking down on all these people. The amount of fucking homophobia that some of you guys spit, because you know that men are in general quite homophobic. So if you say something homophobic to them, it's going to piss them off. Not realizing the dudes that aren't homophobic, the dudes who are actually trying to challenge gender norms, shit like that, the dudes who just want to be their own fucking sexuality, they have to suffer too. Meanwhile, you have a gay best friend. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that misandry isn't nearly as bad as misogyny, but I am saying that it comes from the same thought process. The main difference is that women have not had the power to ever really have misandry, for being honest, right? And to actually harm men, if we're being so real. Women have not had the power to ever really have misandry, for being honest, right? And to actually
are you hearing some other feedback?
If we're being so real. Women have not had the power to ever.
I'm trying to figure out what his other feedback is coming on.
Right? And to actually.
It's a really bad echo.
If we're being so real. Women have not had the power.
Wait for something to catch up. Figure out what his other feedback is coming on.
Right? And to actually.
It's a really bad echo.
If we're being so real. Women have not had
let me wait for some troubleshooting real quick.
What his other feedback is coming on. Right? And to actually.
It's a really bad echo.
If we're being so real. Women have not had
let me wait for some troubleshooting real quick. I think I found it. It was coming through my phone. I had it up for a second. Let me back up a little bit. Give the audience some grace. Let me see here. Thank you, Jess, for watching and keeping things solid.
When I said women are becoming incels on this app, I did not say misandry is as bad as misogyny. What I am saying is you guys are both upholding patriarchy in the way that you talk about these issues. Okay? When you talk down on men, you are talking down on all men. You're talking down on like the lonely dude who has no hate in his heart. He's just down on his luck. You're talking down on the gay dude, the bi dude, the trans person. You feel me? Like you're talking down on all these people. The amount of fucking homophobia that some of you guys spit, because you know that men are in general quite homophobic. So if you say something homophobic to them, it's going to piss them off. Not realizing the dudes that aren't homophobic, the dudes who are actually trying to challenge gender norms, shit like that, the dudes who just want to be their own fucking sexuality, they have to suffer too. Meanwhile, you have a gay best friend. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that misandry isn't nearly as bad as misogyny, but I am saying that it comes from the same thought process. The main difference is that women have not had the power to ever really have misandry, for being honest, right? And to actually harm men, if we're being so real, not physically, right? But it doesn't mean that the second you get the power to uphold the patriarchy and be powerful in the patriarchy that you should do it, because the whole system is based on inflicting suffering on everybody. And there's nobody who doesn't suffer under patriarchy aside.
I got to stop because it started getting into word salad mode, and I don't understand where he was going. You know, can somebody come help? Are you muted? I think you're muted.
I was saying that, okay, I was trying to be with him when he started. He lost me.
That is TikTok. That right there is TikTok.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. And like I really try, you know what I'm saying? But it's like it's just certain words that when people use, I know that they're not gonna be able to make their point.
Right. You're right.
When they talk about when they talk about misandry in a reductionistic tone,
right,
as if women do not bring harm to men at all, or the level of harm that women bring to men is insignificant and unworth the discussion, is ridiculous. Especially when we just watched Sha'Carri Richardson being on camera saying, "You the man in this, he the man in the situation," you know. And I just saw a video this week where this mother, according to the video, took a bottle and busted her son's face on camera. You know, I've seen plenty of videos where misandry might not be women randomly jumping out of bushes and attacking men, but the level of child abuse towards young men by their mothers is obviously in the misandry category too, because you can't say that they're busting their sons' heads out of love.
Right.
You can't have it both ways, you know. So misandry was one of the buzzwords in that situation. The other buzzword, patriarchy. And I'm going at this, and I'm not letting off of it. Just like when I said women have no code, just like I said, rules 1 through 5, I stand by it. Or single mothers raise children that become single mothers, and and single fathers. I'm standing on this. We do not live in a patriarchy. We live in a matriarchy. And at the social level, I can prove it. The very fact that there is a gender war, the very fact that there is family court, the very fact that there are provisions for single mothers with, what I'm saying, to be safe, to be subsidized, rather, subsidized parenthood, subsidized single parenthood is a sign of a matriarchy. Every discussion that we have that is about the rearing of children and where women's role is in that situation, or whatever the equity is between man and woman, is a matriarchal discussion, because in a patriarchy, this wouldn't even be an issue. They would bust your head.
Exactly.
You wouldn't get child support. There would be no feminism. There would be no LGBT. There would be none of this stuff.
Right.
The very essence that this video even exists is the fact that we live in a matriarchy. So, period. Like, when you get down to it, if we lived in a patriarchy, there would be far more consequences for women than what they are now.
You absolutely correct.
So let's finish watching the word salad show.
From the biggest winners, the richest men, the richest white men, if we're being honest. But you guys see me criticizing one aspect, meaning that I support the other aspect, because that's how the internet has been, where most dudes who are criticizing women actually hate women on apps. And in general, it seems that a lot of men think that most women that criticize men on this app hate men. And that's the thing. This is never gonna blow up because it's not rage baity enough. That video that I posted, rage bait, because you guys are like, what? The ones where I rage bait men, those ones blow up as well. Like when I rage bait the looks maxers or the incels, those ones do well as well. When I'm trying to actually explain to you that both people are being split and the patriarchy stands to benefit from men and women hating each other, it's all quiet. because the algorithm has hacked your brain to not see nuance. Some of you guys have already scrolled over. Some of you guys are fucking snoring, hearing my fucking nuance. That's the fucking N-word you really can't stand to hear on it. You can't stand to hear any fucking nuance.
I need help. I don't know. Maybe look to the people that's watching, and some of you might be in a different age bracket. You know, like if you want to come on the show and give a take that makes what's going on in that video make sense, I'm open to it. I don't know. I want to see I want a wider diversity of watchers as well. So I have to open the conversation up to people that might take root with some of the things that might get played or said on this show.
Right.
But I heard a bunch of word salad though, and I'm entitled to my opinion just like anybody else. I don't see how that helped anybody. I don't. Hey, hey, Jess, you more than welcome to come on the show at some point for sure. Like maybe at the end of this one right here, and hold all your thoughts because we're about to get busy into the main point of us having this particular episode is don't tell daddy, you know.
Yes.
And I think that this topic is gonna take us through a lot of different scenarios that I'm sure you have planned out. And so let's get to it.
Okay, so when we talk about fathers in our Black community, like I said, the narrative that's painted is that um, they don't help, and the mama's drowning, and even if she receives child support, he's not mentally there, he's not emotionally there, he's not in the household, he's not spiritually there, he's not socially there. So the mom takes the burden. Yes, she's getting, you know, financial help, assistance, but he's not helping with anything else. Or we have another prototype of father in the Black community where it's a guy that has multiple children by multiple women and he's not there. He doesn't care. No matter what situation, no matter what socioeconomic status, the Black man's just not there according to the narrative that's being painted, you know? However, study shows that Black fathers who are present, they're often more engaged than any fathers of any other race. Even though the absent Black dad is still dominates, you know, and part of that reason that the narrative continues to make Black fathers look bad is because Black mothers are the majority of the ones spewing it. You know what I mean? I'll say that again. Part of the reason, or the main reason, that the Black absent father narrative in 2025 continues to do well and continues to blast Black fathers and make them look bad is because the majority of the people doing it are the children's mothers. The children, they're going to end up internalizing the mother's behavior towards their fathers. I don't know how many situations that we've been when a mother will tell a father that the baby can't come with you because the baby can't talk or the baby can't walk. Then when the child gets older, now, you haven't been around, so they're afraid of you. The mother, like I always talk about this vicarious trauma, mothers manipulate their children from very, very young. And they think their daddy is the boogeyman. They think that when their dad says no, or when their dad has some kind of order, some kind of structure, some kind of discipline, that he's the boogeyman. Mama sometimes wants to be the favorite, even at the expense of her child's growth. And I'll say that again. Mama wants to be the favorite parent, even if it's at the expense of her child's development and growth, and them being a healthy child. If a mother disrespects, hides information, or minimizes the father in any way, the children learn that dad doesn't matter. This sets up another generational cycle, another generational curse where boys don't know how to be respected as men, and girls, they don't know how to respect the men that they love. This damages the father-children relationships. A father who only gets called when the children are in trouble, it feels like he's just a correction officer. There's no other connection outside of him being the disciplinary outside of the household. The child, they grow up resenting the strict dad. They don't ever experience the nurturing, the guidance, the protection of his everyday presence. It teaches our children that dysfunctional parenting, dysfunctional co-parenting is normal. Kids see their moms and dads as enemies instead of on the same team, or instead of supporting them and encouraging them and pouring into them. This becomes the blueprint of all their relationships. Love mixed with power, mixed with struggle, mixed with secrecy, mixed with control. Like I always say, the way you were parented, that becomes the way you're partnered. The way in which you grew up, that becomes the way you communicate. The way in which you see the people in your house, the adults in your life, communicate as a child. That's how you're going to start communicating. How you see them handle their anger, how you see them handle relationships, how you see them show up in relationships and friendships and at work. Things like that, that's going to be your new reality. That's going to be how you are. And a lot of us don't recognize it. A lot of us love to say that's just how I am, when it's in fact generational, even down to our attitudes. And of course, our community they need both parents to be healed. Both Black children need both active parents to be healed. Without strong fathers being involved, cycles of brokenness, poverty, incarceration, fractured relationships, they keep repeating. Respecting and including the father is not just personal business, it's community survival work. And when I say community survival work, daddy is necessary. Daddy is necessary. No animal in this animal kingdom grows well without the father. The only species that don't have their fathers and think they're not important are human beings. You know what I mean? Are humans. Like, they're the only one that allows mama to make every major decision in the child's life. And the scary part about that is that mama's emotional. So it's not the best decisions. It's always on emotion, what she feels is right. That she feels she did her best. And the outcome shows that it's not right. You making decisions with your children's life based on how you feel is the reason that y'all don't know y'all grandchildren. It is what it is.
Ooh, hey, let me know you want me to flip the slide too.
Yeah, you can flip me. Like I said, this conversation matters because without a father being able to be proactive and be in the life, I'm not talking about the weekend daddy or the paying father. I'm talking about the father that wants to bond with his child and to build and to teach. You know what I mean? To learn as a parent, to raise somebody well. It destroys the father-child relationship and a bond when a mom withholds info or just downright disrespects the dad. Everything he says, she overrides it just because she don't like him, just because their relationship is no longer, just because she's salty, whatever her reason, whatever her just because is, it's still putting a dent. It's still putting it's still interrupting the relationship between her child and their dad when she disrespects. The children mirror what they see. If mom doesn't respect dad, they're not going to respect dad either. Father becomes the last resort, and he's only called when the kids act up. This creates a broken identity. A lot of Black mothers don't understand that the kids feel like one half of them isn't valued, especially your Black boys. All you boy moms, when all they hear is that niggas ain't shit, your daddy not shit. Even if you try to treat your son like, oh, you the king, but your daddy not shit, you're still doing your son a disservice because you chose this person to procreate with, and all your child is hearing is that they're not worthy enough and that they're not good enough. And you guys don't even understand subconsciously what you're doing to your children, that you know best. It normalizes dysfunction, teaching your children that chaos is love. Then you wonder why when they're growing up, the people that they bring it home, you can't stand because you've modeled this behavior their whole life. And now they're adapting that behavior and living it through their real life, through their adulthood. Now they're choosing partners that it's all chaos with. Now they're choosing friends where they're always getting into shit with. Now they're choosing people to surround themselves with that's just like you. And a lot of y'all don't want to see it. A lot of you you forgot you forgot that you was busting windows out. You forgot that you was messy. You forgot. And your children gonna remind you always. But then you get so embarrassed and you want to distance yourself from your children when they're 18, kicking them out. That's when you know you didn't do your job. Community impact, the absent fathers, or whether they were pushed away, excluded, or just simply walked away, it fuels cycles of poverty, trauma, and instability for our Black children. Healing requires both parents. Respecting fathers is not optional. It's not optional. It's survival for our families. Respecting fathers is not optional. It's survival for our families. And the same question that I love to draw back to my sisters is, when you say negative things about your child's father, he's this, he's that, you have zero respect. How can you almost lose your life creating a life for someone that you don't respect? And I'll say that again. How can you possibly almost lose your life creating life and bringing forth life with somebody that you don't respect. You're the fool. You're the fool bringing a baby into the world with a man that you don't respect and a man that you don't trust with your child. That tells the community what we need to know. You're foolish as well, because like attracts like. You can go forward. Black fathers matter. A little statistics to help you all out is that 70% of Black fathers who live with their children, they bathe their children, they dress them, diapers, they fully help their children daily, compared to 60% of white fathers and only 45% of Hispanic fathers. The thing about it, when Black fathers do live in a home, a lot of people want to have that other notion of they don't help. They just here. They just bring the money home. They don't help. Black fathers are very hands-on. They're very much into the lives of their children. 67% of co-resident Black fathers or co-parenting Black fathers, they read to their children multiple times per week, higher than 59% of white fathers and 47% of Hispanic fathers. Among non-resident fathers, 49% of Black dads talk with their children several times a week, compared to only 30% of white fathers and 22% of Hispanic fathers. Black children with an involved father scored 6 IQ points higher at age 2 than those with less involved fathers. Teens with strong father bonds were 2.2 times more likely to get tested for HIV without such relationships. A Black dad is going to be, now you remember a couple of weeks ago, you can go watch that episode, when I was giving statistics about children with single mothers, that 49% of children have teeth decay. I think it was 60% of Black children have teeth decay.
Yeah.
Things like that. You see what a father present, whether he's inside the home or just a co-parent that shows up, the children have better odds. They have better chances with their life. They have better opportunity. They have stronger routine, stronger discipline, and also support from 2 people that love them. It doesn't matter if he's in the household or it doesn't matter if he's living with his child. A Black father is going to make sure that his child is going to be taken care of. They're doing good. Mothers have to give the space and allow the space for their child to have that bond, that attachment. You're not the only person that the child needs. This is why you find yourself overwhelmed, especially when you have multiple children. You have to collaborate with this relationship because their fathers, that's somebody that truly matters to them. They love their fathers. So many children love their fathers. They want to be there. They don't know why daddy's not coming around. And you lying to them, you manipulate them, it doesn't help, especially when your child finds out the truth. So a lot of you got to be very cautious of the seeds that you're planting, because they're gonna be weeds one day. It's not even gonna be strong roots, it's gonna be weeds, and you're gonna have to own up to all the bull and all the strategies that you pulled to make sure that they didn't have a good relationship. Every dog has its day. And there's a lot of dogs out here in our disguised as mothers, you know what I mean?
Proof.
You could go forward. So fatherhood is not optional. It's critical to a child's identity, whether that's your sneaky link, somebody that hurt you, somebody that maybe the relationship between you two was not successful or wasn't toxic. Maybe the only thing you got from this man was your child. That's the only thing you ever got something worth something was your baby, you know? Even after that, a lot of women still follow this path of like knowing all these signs and still doing the ultimate bringing forth life. And then you decide like, oh, he's not a good person and my child don't deserve it. Don't wait until the child is here to decide that that's not their dad. That's definitely their dad. The father that you choose, that shows about your character as a woman. Being a good mom starts with choosing a good father for your child. And I'll say it again, being a good mother starts with choosing a good father, a good person for your child. When you disrespect or dismiss the father, the children mirror that energy. If you undermine them, the children grow up confused about respect, authority, and love. Your daughters grow up confused about a man's their role in the life, their role. Even if you have a man in the household, they see you talking to their daddy crazy, they think that's the dynamic. And everybody don't raise their son to tolerate that disrespect. So if you're raising a disrespectful daughter and they meet somebody's crazy YN son, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a disaster. Or if you have a son and he sees you talking to his father reckless, disrespectfully, you're raising a confused son about who he is. My dad didn't get any respect as a man. His authority and his love, he's going to attract the same type of demon mama is. And then, watching your son get hurt, maybe that wakes some of you guys up. Seeing your son deal with somebody like you in your prime. But a lot of you don't care. A lot of you don't care about your sons either. You can go forward.
Yep. Man, they're not gonna get it. They're gonna have sons up here blaming the patriarchy, like the dude that we had on the video before.
Very much so. So the hidden information we talk about when you withhold details. Some others don't share important updates with with children's fathers, like the school events, doctor's visits, or milestone in a child's life. Even to go deeper, a lot of Black children are harmed on their mother's watch, sexually, emotionally, physically. Let's be honest. And daddy don't know. You tell your children, don't tell daddy, don't tell your dad, because if he has this information, he can go to court and change these orders. Or if he know that his children are not in a safe situation, you guys are constantly moving. There's no working, no lights, no gas, or they don't have clean clothes, or they're not going to school. If daddy knows this, he could definitely take that information and change his being in their life, his influence and his being around them. If he knows that you're not doing what you're supposed to do, he can definitely go handle that. Fathers feel powerless when they're not informed about their children. It's always a joke of like, what size do your shoe? If you're a father, you should know what size shoes your kids wear, what size clothes they wear. By the same people that don't allow them to have the relationship. You know what I mean? It's really sick on my end, like to see these so many generations of women get away with being the devil, being Satan, ruining their own children, sending their own sons to prison, sending their own daughters down a line of trauma and sadness, making children with everybody. No discipline and no structure. Mama had a hand in that. Many, many mothers, many aunties, many grandmothers had a hand in that. What are we looking at now? What we seeing now is due to that. When he's left out, he can't actively participate or make informed decisions about his child. A lot of you women think that because you let him see the kid, like on your timing, that, oh yeah, I'm letting him be a dad. That's so far from the truth. That's not it. The same way you have a relationship, and a lot of you, lack thereof, you don't really pour into your children. You just post on social media. A lot of you want to, like, when you got to start reading into what women do. A lot project, a lot deflect and a lot project. So when they say stuff like, oh, there's so many fathers that only post their kids on holidays, only post their kids on birthdays, watch what she does. Look at her behaviors. Because if it's only back to school or Easter Sunday that you see her kids, she's probably talking about herself. Dad don't have nothing to do with that, There's an emotional disconnection. Like I said, when the children see that their mom don't like their dad, that is always an issue. Negativity about dad. Do you think that a child is going to be packing their bag, waiting by the door, you know what I mean, smiling, waiting to go with dad, or they're going to be fearful? A lot of mothers create this emotional disconnection, like I said, because they want to be the only one that the child relies on emotionally, mentally, spiritually, socially. They want to be the one that the child comes to. But they don't mind taking financially from the dad. But everything else, they got it. They need your money, but they don't need nothing else. They don't need your decision making. They don't need to act. They don't want to. A lot of women don't know what they go, like you said, they go to work and collaborate all day. Go to school and do group projects, collaborating all day. But when it comes to the livelihood of their children, they don't want to collaborate with the father that they chose,
Mm-hmm.
They create this emotional disconnection. But when you sabotage and you try to manipulate a relationship, it's going to backfire. It always backfires. Not being included can make a father feel like he's an outsider in the life of his own child. You do stuff like invite your one of many boyfriends, baby in second grade done had 3-4 stepdaddies. You invite these people, these men, different men to your child's engagements in their school activities. But the father, he got to see about it on social media. That's the kind of wicked games a lot of you play. I see it on my own timeline. That's the kind of wicked games you guys play. And every time somebody can bring up, like, why don't you let the see that? It's always an excuse. It's always an excuse. You don't ever trust the person that you laid with. They always have some negative behavior, but you knew all these things before you made a kid. So this is their people. This is their kinfolk. Let that man be a father and let that child have a father. If you really love your child like you say you do, you want them to be confident. You want them to grow to be better than the rest. Let's be clear. Let them have a relationship with their father. Because it's something about a relationship with your dad that creates like that. I know I'm the shit attitude. I'm just going to keep it 1,000 with you. Like, I know I'm the shit. He ain't got to be a perfect father. No one's perfect. But when you know your dad is in your life and your dad has your back and your dad gives you the bravery. Dad gives you courage. Because mama gonna tell you, oh, don't hurt yourself, oh, don't scrape your legs. Dad gonna tell you to go for it. And that's the difference of, this is what a lot of single mother households are lacking. The bravery and the courage of you to go after your dreams. Mama gonna keep you scared so she can keep you close. And I will say that again, yo, mama gonna keep you scared so she can keep you close. You're never gonna fall in love. You're never gonna go pursue your dreams just so you could be fulfilling your mama's fantasy, I guess, of being a good mom. A lot of y'all got talked out of your dreams by your mother. Talked out of your dreams, talked out of your relationships because your mama don't have nobody but y'all. But your daddy gonna encourage you to fly. That's just what a father does. It creates distance. All these years, imagine finding out that your dad never knew about you or your father was fighting for you, or just imagine, even when you want the relationship, when you crave the relationship, the amount of distance put between you and your father. Imagine you being an adult, you have children, now you barely meeting your father. Look at all that, look at the void that you went through, all the emptiness, all the distance it creates on behalf of your mother. This exclusion, it builds frustration and resentment. It causes a lot of the fathers to step back, you know? We're not talking about, we're talking about fathers that are already average working man, you know? Maybe has children with another woman, maybe he's married, has taken care of, even if he's not married, taking care of his own household, his own priorities. It gets costly. It gets very costly when he has to fight for not only one, multiple children. The same woman that he created life with, the same woman that acted like she was going to be there for him, the same woman that didn't put them claws in him and she got pregnant, now the tables is turned. A lot of men, they lost their family just because their baby mothers is bored being a mom. And I'm going to be honest. A lot of men have lost their families in our community, black men, because their baby mothers was bored and just wanted to be outside. He didn't do anything wrong. He was there through postpartum, prepartum. He was there through the birth. They're taking care of her. A lot of black women like it rough. They don't know how to be respected and appreciated. They don't know how to sit with that. They don't know how to take it. That's why a lot of our women do things to humiliate themselves and don't care.
You know, let me jump right there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying that I believe black women have a humiliation king.
Right.
Like they don't even fully invest in the conversation unless it's conflict, unless they can trade insults, or I call it creative dismissal.
Mm-hmm.
They'll act like they're listening to you just so they can blow you off or just so they can interrupt you or whatever, you know.
Right.
And it becomes a very childish exchange, and you certainly realize that somebody's in arrested development. So it kind of goes back to, you know, like what Shirazad Ali's theory about a lot of the women that fit this behavior that we're talking about, they're stuck at 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's just true, you know what I'm saying, based on outcomes.
Right.
You know, but I just wanted to say that because that kind of feeds exactly what you're talking about when it comes down to the level of immaturity that creates these situations, because this isn't about duty and responsibility. This is about people with that care, that worship their emotions and feeling good more than they care about doing the right thing on behalf of the children.
Absolutely. Something that I always say, and I'm going to stand by forever, is that the real unfit parent is the one that stops the relationship. And that's most of the time the mom, because you're not only not growing yourself, you're preventing your growth for your children. To think that you can take on all these roles, nurse, doctor, teacher, therapist, you know, everything for your child. Take on all these roles. When somebody is asking, when somebody is begging and pleading, a lot of black men put their pride to the side for their children. They have nothing to prove. They kiss your ass. It's still not enough. But like I say, your children are harmed on your watch when you bring in different men in your own home. And a father may step back because it's self-preservation, not because he don't care. But like I said, he still have other kids. He got to compartmentalize the fact that I won't have a relationship with this kid the way that I want. Maybe I'll wait till they're 18. Maybe they'll come find me. And if they don't, he got to carry that. But a father can't just, you know what I mean, whole life gone to shit because you don't want him to be there. You're not allowing it. Then you get mad when, you know, he got a wife or he got somebody else. He's taking care of the children that he created with her. You upset. And your child thinks that they're not loved and they're not cared for. So children may sense that this disconnect, and they believe that their father doesn't care when it's not even true. if you really love if you really love your children the way you say you do, you'll make sure that they have a good relationship. You can go forward. Prime example: a father shows up at school and doesn't know his child made honor roll because nobody told him. That gap in communication chips away at the bond. When you control information, you control access, but the only one losing is the child. So, like I said, a lot of mothers be like, "Oh, you don't know what the baby favorite food is. You don't know this. You don't know that." A lot of black women are parenting in narcissism, and I'll say it again: a lot of black mothers are parenting in narcissism because if it's like it's your way or the highway. What you say goes. You won't tell the dad, and then you'll shape it like he don't care, but he never was. You never communicated against. It was a video going viral. A guy went live on Facebook because he went to his son's doctor's appointment. The baby boy was about 3, and as soon as he walked in, the little boy had his a little gown on. I guess he was gonna do like a checkup. So he ran, "Daddy," but couldn't even make it. The mom held him back by his chest. The little boy's mom, and she was like, The nurse asked like, "How did you know about the appointment?" She was like, "I told him, but I don't want him here." Mind you, this man drove. I think he said he drove for 6 hours, 6 hours away.
Nah.
Yeah. The thing that pissed me off was it was a black nurse and a black doctor. The doctor pretty much said, "Oh, can you step out, Dad, while we do the nurse took the baby like it was a big confrontation. It was nobody was yelling. They was talking calmly. Then the doctor pretty much told the dad, "Oh, can you wait in the lobby while we do this?" And who told him about the appointment? She was like, "I did, but I don't want him here." So once again, validating and justifying and condoning and excusing that parental alienation. Because if I was a doctor, I'd say you can either reschedule or he gonna be in here. That's what I would have said personally. And I bet you she would have stayed her ass there. Like a lot of black women continue to perpetuate this because there's no accountability.
It's almost like they get offended that the man wants to raise his child.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's like, are you surprised? Are you offended that men care about the well-being of their own children?
And I truly believe that. I believe that, and especially like I said, the grooming that black women do when their children are little, the grooming of their sons and daughters.
I'm glad you said that word. We haven't said that, and we've talked about it, but the grooming that's part of all of this right here is important to say. This is grooming also. We only they only use grooming when they talk about men being attracted to younger women.
Right.
But they don't talk about how the mothers groom their daughters and how the mothers groom their sons.
Absolutely.
They don't talk about it. They call it brainwashing, narcissistic parenting, but the act of grooming is what it really is too.
Absolutely.
We need to make sure we associate all of these words with the same behavior because
absolutely
it has a desired outcome of alienating the other parent.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what our children are learning. Like I said, you can see it in our community because it's a lot of jokes. The joke on social media is that all the black kids know mama's side. Who's making these jokes? It's not black men making these jokes. Go look. I'm telling you, It's women, black women making these jokes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to be nice to my son, baby mama, because I want to be there. Mm-hmm. No marriage, nothing, no change. This is already predetermined by mama. She don't want you in a marriage.
Yeah.
Even if she didn't have it. I remember when moms wanted you to be better than them. Not these mamas. They don't want their children to be better than them. They don't want their children's fathers to be better than them. Mama want to be the ultimate victim at all times, and it's sick and it's sad.
Yeah.
Because these same mamas used to be little girls in the same household with these women that they couldn't wait to leave their mama house. But you inflicting the same trauma onto your children. Because you so much like your mom. And they're getting groomed and they're getting brainwashed to learn the same behaviors as well. Your sons as well. You wonder why this culture of YN, it's like such a joke to say, oh, he a YN, he a young nigga. That means you're emotionally unhinged. That's what that really stands for. You'll take from your community. You'll hurt anybody. Man, woman, child, granny, you don't care. But this is what single black mothers are raising. The YNs, that's what you're raising. The emotionally unregulated black boy with the gun. The emotionally hurt black boy with the gun. The angry black boy with the gun. He'll take from anybody. Dog eat dog world. Nobody ever poured into this boy. Nobody ever cared about this boy. You either coddled him too much to where he never felt anything until he got older, or you didn't care. You didn't put him first. You didn't make your son feel like he was worth anything. So either way, both of these young men, prototypes of young men, have that anger. Because sadness is not going to be sadness forever. Eventually, you're going to want to get your lick back to the world. And that's what you're creating. Every time you tell a dad he can't see, you act like it's optional. Oh, I got to see what we doing. Oh, this kid got a part. They can go to hang out with friends and your friends, and nobody's more important than mom and dad. Everything else could wait, especially on his timing.
Being able to hang out with the friends more than they can hang out with their dad is crazy.
You know what I mean? It's a mental illness.
It's a mental illness. Well, everything that at this stage, everything that frustrates people that think through, that critically think things out, it's not even frustrating anymore. I just look at it as a mental illness now.
Absolutely.
Because it don't make sense. You can't claim that you want better for kids and then say and at the same breath saying they don't need to be around their dads.
Absolutely.
So like women have gotten to the point where you cannot believe what they say. You have to pay attention to what they do.
Mm-hmm.
The outcome is the only thing that matters, and the behavior decides, what choices they make,
Right.
But like them talking about it all day, it's just going to be a cyclic conversation where they're always right. The other parent is not good enough. That's where it's going to end up at.
You can go for it.
Okay.
So when you break down this pattern, a mother pretty much dismisses or alienates the dad when things are calm. The child grows up without consistent father input. When the child begins to act out, suddenly dad is called for help. The father hasn't been respected as a parent, just used as a last resort. It's really unfair for both black father and child, The father isn't a backup plan. He's supposed to be there from the start. And that's our issue in the community. Last week, Dontre had posted I guess it was a black woman that had took Spider-Man pictures, like that scene from Jane and Spider-Man. And it was like a romantic scene. They was kissing. And she did put her lips on her son. He upside down as Spider-Man. It was like a lot of black fathers that weren't happy about it,
Yeah.
Also, like a week ago, I seen a black girl. She was dressed like she was covered fully, but I guess her hairstyle, she did like have a grown-up hairstyle, added hair and stuff. She's like 3 or 4 added hair. And there was a couple black men in the comments like, baby girl is very stunning, but she didn't need the fake hair. Immediately, like, black women rushed to them like, oh, you a predator. You a pedophile. How could you? How dare you? You commented on you sexualizing the black girl. The chatter on both of them. You know what I mean? But imagine, a man doing the opposite, a black man making a love scene with his child. It's like, man. The same men that you say don't help you, the same men that you say they need to step up. As soon as they say how they feel, as soon as they assert their authority, it's backlash. So how can you expect black fathers to ever? First of all, you see, they don't even want to make babies with y'all like that. You get upset, you get offended when they go outside looking for somewhere else, looking for anywhere but you. You know what I mean? You get offended. But look at what you create in your own home with them. They can't even say, I think those shorts are too small to their daughters. Well, I think they're cute. Why do you even have a say so, mom? Why do you even agree with a child, mom? Why are you trying to be a friend, mother? Because that's what you do. You undermine dad every step. Every corner he try to cut instead of supporting. Yeah, your daddy, take them shorts off. Your dad is right. When you say your son can't do something or, he got to chastise the young man, you want to get in between it. No. Absolutely. Then when your son disrespecting you calling his dad. You can't have it both ways. You got to pick a side. And to break this cycle, to break this curse, to break this pattern, you got to start giving the black man, the black father, the respect that he deserves. You didn't do anything, but you expect respect as a mom just because, I am woman, hear me roar. No. The same respect that you want is the same respect that's due to a black father, especially when putting up with your ass. It is what it is. Like, it's the truth,
Mm-hmm.
Men that want to be there for their children should always be allowed to be there for their children. You can go. Consequences for our children. They learn that dad isn't important. And also on the flip side, they learn that they aren't important because every child has their voice. Children voice when they miss their fathers. They want to call them. A lot of daddies are blocked children start to learn that no matter what they ask, no matter how many times they ask, you will never let them see their dads. So they don't only normalize that their father isn't important, they normalize I'm not even important. And this is why so many Black children suffer with their mental health. This is why so many Black boys, their unaliving rates are climbing every day, because they don't even, you can't speak a man's language. Especially a lot of Black boys are being raised by misandries. They're being raised by Black women that hate men, and you have sons.
I've been making the argument that when women talk about choosing the bear instead of the man, I said when y'all talk about abusive men, you're really only talking about the men that was raised by women,
right?
Because when you break down the abuse conversation, right? If most single mothers don't have, let's just say the men that they do have that are abusive in their life, they bring them into their children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got single women that don't have men at all. You can't blame men for abuse if you're not, in proximity to men.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be like Americans blaming Ukrainians for crimes against Americans. You know what I'm saying? If you're not in proximity with those people, then who's abusing you, right?
Right.
Ultimately, unless you got men jumping out of the bushes and just randomly attacking, women unprovoked on a regular basis nationwide, then the narrative doesn't help. So I said all that to say, because this parental alienation that puts men on the wrong side of the conversation is all tied to the abuse, the neglect, all of these other topics that are just simply not true. And the reality is that you have to be present to be abusive.
Right.
And how is it possible that all of these women that talk about abusive men are in relationships with men?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody ever think about that? Like how many different relationships of abuse can you get in and out of? And at the same time complain about men not being available for their kids, because a lot of these women are pursuing the wrong relationships instead of the ones that benefit their own children.
Right.
So
yeah, that's why a lot of Black children don't even like their mom's men, and she don't care. They make it known. The daughters make it known he weird. I don't like him. He's giving me the vibes, and they get beat for expressing that. The son's mom, I don't like him. They get put out for that. So we definitely know. I know many a Black woman who didn't care about what her kids felt. Didn't care that her kids, now their household got shifted because a guy you knew after 2 weeks gets to move into their home.
Mm-hmm.
And you're surprised that him and your son is fighting, or you're surprised that your daughter came to you and said, "Oh, he looking at me weird," or he's testing me. You're surprised when you guys think that you have such good men, but half the time your children are the prey.
Mm-hmm. Man, come on.
Your daughters normalize disrespect towards men. We love talking about how, the way a man talks about his mom or treats his mother is how he treats all women. We love talking about the aspect of a man and his mom, how he treat women. Oh, look, he grew up from this kind of woman, or he grew up from these type of parents. But we never talk about how many disrespectful women have two parents. I'll say it again. We never talk about the amount of disrespectful women that come from a two-parent home. We never talk about the amount of Black women that love to fight Black men, get them set up, get them killed. We never have these discussions, and that all falls under that disrespectful Black woman, setting the innocent man up, setting the man up to get killed and robbed when he's trusting you, inviting him to your house or going to his space where he's trusting you and to set him up to get murdered. It's the truth.
Yep.
We have sisters that drug our men. The list goes deep. The list goes down. So many daughters normalize disrespect towards men. Sons grow up without a model of balanced manhood. These are the sons that become the YNs, the angry young Black men, the ones that put hands and feet on your daughter, the ones that argue like a woman. They masculine versions of their mothers. And long term, it creates this cycle of broken trust and resentment in their own relationships, even between their children. We ain't just talking about sexual. These are the friendships that's cracked and broken. Your daughters can't be loyal to save their life. They go to Miami, somebody comes back. They come back with not being friends, or somebody don't come back. Somebody loses their life messing with your daughter. You know, your son, they set up their homeboys. Like these are the children you're creating. You can go forward. What's kept from dad? School-related things. Like I said, grades, bad report cards, behavior notes, missed assignments. You keep the teacher meetings and school events from the father. Medical health information, doctor visits, the vaccinations, health concerns, injuries, illnesses, medications that the child is taking, disciplinary issues. If the child got in trouble at school or in the neighborhood, police or authority involvement, bad behavior at home that dad isn't supposed to know. Go forward. Household and personal matters, financial struggles, or the mom asking for child support early or extra money, new relationships that the mom might be having, problems in the home environment, milestones and achievement, first words, first steps, or other firsts, especially in the younger kids, awards, ceremonies, performances, sports games, extracurricular activities, parent-child relationships, encouraging the child not to share if anything they love, anything they love or anything that they miss about their father, coaching them on what to say when they're with him, coaching them on how to act when they're with him, and telling them to act like they don't need or want his presence. And they don't have to say that directly. It's how you respect or disrespect him in their presence that's going to show that and show them how to act. And a lot of fathers, just all these things missing. It's up to you to be proactive in the relationship with your child. I personally say if that ain't your wife, you better go get, while she still have them hormones or feeling good, you better go get joint custody when that baby's little. You know what I mean? Because a lot of women, they just act off emotions. And that lasts for years. Those grudges last for years. And don't nobody hold a grudge as long as a black woman and as powerful as a black woman. I know. I'm from a family of black women. I come from all black. Don't nobody hold a grudge. Don't nobody can be seething on something. They say ain't nothing like a woman scorned. Ain't nothing like a black woman scorned. That's just the truth. So when you missing these pivotal moments in your child's life, when you see she's not going to cooperate, when you see she's not on the program, go get custody of your child. Go get 50-50 so you won't never be excluded, because you can ask for all this in the court documents where she has to share. She has to. It's sad that you got to put a white man in your business to force her to collaborate, but some women have to be forced, Some women don't know no better. Some women only was raised by a mother and brainwashed by her. They don't know how to collaborate with a dad. There haven't been a man in their household and they family in decades, so they don't know. It's essential that you go be there for your children and you have to be proactive and let her know, I don't know who you know, but I'm not one of them. I do want to be a father. I'm going to be here. And your children going to respect that. And even if she don't admit it, she going to respect that. Women don't like to run over nobody. When you give up your children that easy, she going to make it worse. She going to make it hard for your children. Because a lot of the story goes, when a mother is practicing parental alienation on the father, ask the kids how they feel growing up. They're going to feel like a pawn. They're going to feel like there was a yo-yo. Them kids don't ever feel good. They don't ever say I had a great childhood. They always went through it with their mama. And there was no outlet because they couldn't see their dad. All over. They're all over the internet. Those children rarely have a good relationship with their mom. This always backfires. So it's not good for the dad and it's not good for the children. Everybody's miserable. The mom, we for sure know mama miserable. And if mama not happy, ain't nobody happy. So you have to go make sure that you being proactive for the life of your children. If you have to leave the household, go back and get them babies. Make sure that they know that they love you. You got to love your children more than you hate her ass, because it's a real thing. And I'm a woman that knows women that change up like the weather as soon as they have your baby. Women don't want, this is this unspoken thing amongst black women. We all know.
They don't want to be honest about that part.
We all know. If you're an honest woman, everybody knows, because what the sisterhood does is condone that bullshit behavior. So everybody that has a ratchet or no good or abusive baby father, they're typically the same type of woman. And the unspoken thing is that we definitely practice parental alienation with our children. We definitely do. And we don't do it because everybody going to say it's a safety concern, but it's more so of like, I'm hurt concern. That's it. I'm hurt. I'm parenting and I'm a piss poor parent out of a place of hurt. That's what it means. And they don't want the relationship to flourish. Sometimes I feel like mamas get mad that you love the kids and no longer love them. Very jealous. That's why it's a running joke of, oh, my daughter stole my man on the social media. Every joke got some truth to it.
Yep.
You can go forward. So effects on a child, the person that we never want to talk about, the person that everybody wants to forget about. And by everybody, I mean black mothers. The people that you created, the people that you say you're trying to protect, the people that you're trying to keep this man from, and keep away from this man. The same people that you say you go hard for, that I worked all these job for, all these hours, and I raised, and I bought you this and I did that. You don't care about the effects that it has on them. You don't care. Because nothing comes before your emotions, mama. Not even your children. And I'll say it again. Nothing and no one comes before your emotions. Not even your children, mama. They don't. You cause division. You cause confusion with divided loyalty from your children. The child feels like they're betraying one parent by being honest with the other, or by loving the other, by spending time with the other. It's such a burden for a black child to have to perform. They love their father, but you don't ever say nothing positive about him, so they act like they hate him, you know? And it's really sad of the mental stress you're giving your children at such young ages. Guilt and anxiety in your black child, kids naturally want to please both parents. So being told to hide things makes them anxious and guilty. Don't teach your child how to, when you teach your child how to hide stuff from the other parent, you're essentially teaching your child how to hide things from you eventually. Like I said, all your behavior, whether positive or negative, is going to backlash. It's going to come back. It's going to be your karma. It teaches dishonesty. All the things. If you're a mom that want to teach your child how to be an upstanding person, you're going to allow that relationship. You're going to encourage that relationship. You're going to want it to flourish. If you're already a negative person from thinking that it's okay to sever this relationship, or to have it work on your terms. Oh, the kid can only see you this day. Or if you can't come all the way over here, if you can't, all these stipulations to be a dad, all these hoops to jump. When you're that kind of woman already, your child already is at a disservice. Twice, because now they dad not active and they got a shit mom, you know? So it's like your kid gets the double-edged sword of just shit. Like, your baby gonna be baby shitty, you know? You're teaching dishonesty. They learn to withhold the truth and lie, which can spill to other areas of their life. Everything that you're teaching this child is preparing them for adulthood. The loss of emotional safety. Your children don't feel free to express love for their dad if you discourage it. And I'll say it again. Your children don't feel free to express love for their dad if you discourage it. The bond and the relationship, they don't even want to go visit their dad. If you put fear into your children, oh, they don't want to go, they don't have to go. They're gonna go. You have to say that this is your dad. He's okay. He's a safe person, and you're gonna go. And identity struggles. If the dad is shut out, the child may question parts of themselves tied to him, like their looks, their talents, their personality traits. Because all y'all always say, like, when your child is just beyond your control, you get that from your dad. And a lot of black mothers think that's funny. But you put all these emotional burdens, these invisible barriers onto your child, a child. You pour into your child is your therapist, your child is your best friend, and they don't have another parent to get relief. You put so much on your black children. Even you mamas that are single women, you keep bringing kids home, and now your older kids have to be the fill-in dad. Your older children have to be the parents. It's so much stress, undue stress, unfair stress put onto black children. They don't deserve that because you don't want to let their fathers in their life. Now they gotta pay in all ways, sacrifice their childhood, get jobs to help you supplement your income. Black children are paying in ways they should never have, especially when they have fathers that want to be there. Got to make it make sense. You can go forward. And the effects on the child and the father relationship. The dad feels unwanted. He begins to believe that he's not needed or valued in his child's life. Missing milestones. He doesn't get to celebrate important firsts or accomplishments, which weakens his bond and weakens his presence. And it also weakens both of their experience, the child and the dad. The lack of trust. Over time, the dad realizes his child isn't telling him things, and the relationship feels shallow or guarded. If daddy not Santa Claus, if daddy ain't got no money, dad is not important. That's what the child learns from mom. Distance and disconnection. The child may start siding with mom's narrative and pulling away from dad emotionally. And of course, broken respect. If mom undermines dad, the child may copy that behavior and stop respecting him too. It's a two-way street. You know? And these things take years. Children don't just stop loving their daddies overnight. But when you're feeding them all these different false narratives and they don't get to see their dad for him to prove that wrong, you know, if fathers give up and don't get their children and they don't have another perspective, they will believe that.
That's why you see a lot of people coming back and saying, hey, now that you're grown, go back and talk to your dad.
Right. Absolutely.
Like
Always hear your father's side of the
you
story.
gotta get all sides of it. And it's so interesting how nobody cares about both sides of the story until they can benefit from it.
Right.
It's just one of the things I noticed. That's all. And there's a lot of people getting old enough now to be able to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I think it may be one more slide.
Yeah, it might be. Let's see here.
So when we talk about healing and accountability, it has to be for mama. Like a lot of black fathers and a lot of black children, they really are owed an apology from you, because I literally had somebody this past week. I think she commented on my TikTok, but she said that she was an older black woman, which I was very like, I told her I love the transparency on my page. I love the respect. I love how on my side of TikTok we can be honest, you know. But
Yeah.
she had said it was about parental alienation, and she said, yeah, my sons are two sons. My sons are still upset with me about playing. She said I was young and foolish and stupid, and I regret it because it just ruined everything, you know. But to hear that, to see that, you know, it's like, okay, like, yeah, I appreciate it now, but like you said, you have two sons that are ruined. So yeah, you took accountability, but like it's far too late, you know?
You didn't just take accountability, you took your son's perspective on life away.
Absolutely.
It's deeper
Absolutely.
than just your accountability. Like a parent is a duty assignment.
Right.
You, your life is not prioritized the same way. Your duties and obligations and responsibilities to your children are the only thing that's prioritized.
Right.
And despite how you feel, that's your role. And you will be held accountable by your children.
Right.
And the irony of it is that you live your life parenting through your emotions and your feelings, and you don't like the feelings that you earn. That is wild.
Right.
So we get some feedback.
A lot of moms, you really got to sit with yourself and ask, am I building a bridge or building a wall between my child and their father? And when we talk about building a bridge, this is being very transparent. Why are you hiding anything from him? He should know his child through and through. His child should know him through and through. You're not the only person that should be able to care for, should be able to mentor, should be able to guide and protect. You're not the only parent. If that's the case, you should have went to a sperm date bank where they don't want no rights, you know? Or are you building a wall because like you're teaching your child all these behaviors and they're eventually going to use that on you? That's why a lot of the black children and their moms start having issues around age 12 when they say my child's no longer listening and my child, not behaving. My child's doing this. My child's having sex. My child's doing that. Eventually, they're going to stop trying to please you. They're going to stop performing for you, and they're going to just want to live their life. Now, if you would have had that relationship, kept that relationship strong between them and their father, if you would have built that bridge, then you have extra support to act the child what it is they're facing. When you're doing everything alone, like I said, and especially with multiple children, you're depleting your needs amongst everybody. You're not even taking care of yourself. This is why our sisters have high blood pressure, diabetes, mental health issues, getting prescribed mental health pills, and things of that nature. We're overwhelmed and we're overworked and we're stressed out, trying to be super, super, super mammy, if you will. When all you need to do is be a nice woman and say, yeah, I need your help. Fathers love their children. If you a kind woman, it's nothing your baby father won't give you. And I mean it. Like, you gave him the highest honor. You gave him his legacy. If you honor that, your child gonna be taken care of in all aspects. You will get taken care of in all aspects if you honor that. But a lot of y'all just don't know how to get out your feelings, But you really want to know when we talk about this topic of accountability, you want to start soon. You have to step aside. If you love your child, you're gonna step aside. You got to put your emotions to the side. Don't involve your mama and your grandmama and them. Y'all, it only takes two people to make a baby. Your mama wasn't there. Your granny and them wasn't there. Your father wasn't there. You got to own up. You got to be a grown woman and start to make decisions with the father, the person that helped, even if the relationship didn't work. A lot of y'all think just because you didn't get the family that you wanted, that he's not important. Or a lot of y'all get bored and you want something else. Just because you're tired of the dad, just because you don't need the dad, that don't mean that the child does not. They need their father. You can go forward. when you talk about accountability, you got to respect his role in the lives of his children, even if your relationship failed. Keep him informed, even if it hurts your pride, even if he's moved on. Because a lot of y'all love to brag about, oh, stepdaddy season, this stepdaddy season, but don't mention a stepmama now. She's stepping on all toes. Don't mention a stepmom.
Man, look, the only time you hear women being enthused about being a stepmom is when they can be women your age will want to sleep with your father.
Right.
But they wouldn't want to raise anybody else's kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the truth. You know, you never want to use your child as leverage. If you find yourself wanting to just throw darts, wanting to be mean, starting to use the child, starting to play games, check yourself. It's not going to end well. You know what I mean? It's not going to end well. The person that you had a child with, that's it. That's who you chose. And if you chose to bring this child forth, you chose that family for that baby. You chose that father for that baby. You chose those looks and that characteristics for that baby. No matter how well or unwell you did, no matter how affirmative or how bad you feel about your choice, the damage is done. Once you choose to bring a child here, your best bet, whether that's a sneaky link, whether that's your husband, whether that's just somebody you know from work, your best bet if you're going to keep that child, if that man wants to be there, is to do the right thing by your child. You can't possibly love a kid and you do everything. Yo, even when your children get to a certain age when they start saying, Mom, I don't like this, or Mom, I feel this way. Where you gaslight your children, you just deny that they feel a way, or you deny that they can. You feel like children shouldn't feel anything because you're paying all the bills as a mom. They shouldn't feel any way but happy. You should be thankful. You should be grateful. And that's a horrible way of parenting because they didn't ask to be here. But they have fathers and they have other siblings and they have stepmothers and they have just grandmas and grandfathers that love them, that want to be there, aunties and uncles. More support, more love. And you guys, half the time your family is just as dysfunctional, if not worse than the fathers. But they okay with it. Like, it's your family, so that's the excuse and that's the pass that they get. No, it's wrong. Let your children know all they kinfolk. You don't want them sleeping with a brother, falling in love with their cousin. It's not that, the world's not that big. You know what I mean? Especially in community. Our communities are not that big. If you trust this person to plant life in your body, there was nothing keep stopping it. There's no protection. This person could have gave you HIV instead. That's all the qualifications you needed. It don't matter. Anything else don't matter because you chose them. We can't keep saying, oh, it's our bad decisions and I was young. No, a lot of us, our vagina ruled our life, and we know that. We say this in the group chats. We say it off the record. We say it off air, you know? But everybody know that. Like, I don't care. I expose it all because it's bigger than me, you know? A lot of women think like men. They act like men and they move like men, but they got to bring the belly home. My mom always said that. Don't forget you got to bring the belly home. So keep playing if you want to. You have to bring that belly home.
They move just like the men they can't stand.
Absolutely. I'm going to get my lick back, okay? And you're going to have postpartum. Don't forget that part neither. Like, you stop playing. You got to play all day.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to raise a human. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to find a babysitter, especially if it's an irresponsible man.
That's why they keep raising these low self-esteem children because I got my lick back babies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then your whole pregnancy was miserable. I have yet, unless like a black woman is in a marriage, a partner for a long time, I guess like you said, the TikTok trend, like everybody had a fucked up pregnancy, you know? Nobody had support from their baby daddies. Everybody did it alone.
That's what TikTok is. You're listening to the children from low self-esteem pregnancies.
That's the truth.
When I talk about low-level learners, reproducing with low-level learners and making more low-level learners, if you want to get on a platform that shows the engagement, the community of it, TikTok shows that completely. What I'm saying, because you got a lot of hurt people just now discovering how vicious and manipulative that their parents were to them, their mothers specifically on one side of things. Like I remember, how like you type something in the search window, and then other groups of people come up that you weren't even thinking about.
Yes.
And I was looking for this one lady, Queen Mother something. She was on Hardly Initiated. And then when I typed it in, all of the stuff that's affiliated with her type of content came up, and it was like mother wound groups. And I was like, well, what's this about? And it's just collections of women talking about never being able to meet their mother's expectations.
Right.
All the performing that they did for their mom's embrace that was never
Right.
good enough, and it's just story after story after story, and it's not just the regular woman; it's down to women like Tina Turner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She lived her whole life, you know what I'm saying, in public view, and was open about trying to win her mother's acceptance. And that
Right.
story is no different than most people. And then these are the
Definitely.
same folks that's raising children that if they're not YNs, they're simps and they're pygmies, and they reproduce with each other yet again
Right.
because they experiencing low self-esteem. They confuse attention for attraction, and there's a lot of trauma bonding relationships, and this is where all these kids come from with the wrong people. And that's why it's so easy for them to feel like they can shut off whatever emotions or access to
Right.
kids, use it as a control thing, or just use it or think they can just close the chapter on that level of decision making and then go repeat it again, and then wonder why they 4 for 4. You know, 4 baby daddies and 4 baby mamas, you know,
Right. Facts.
and it's only a small pool of men that they're doing this with. So
Absolutely.
it says more about the women than it does the men, because the men that they're reproducing with are raised just like the children that they're raising.
Right.
Self.
Absolutely. You can go forward.
All right.
And finally, respect daddy. You know, teach your children respect. To all the black fathers, you got to stay encouraged. You got to stay consistent even when it's hard. Document all attempts at involvement. You got to speak life into your children, even when you feel shut out. Constantly show up. Your children are not slow. Black children are very resilient. They're very smart. They're very observant. They're going to pay attention. If they see that you always the calm one and mama always out of pocket, out of order, that's going to be noted. Your children going to understand that. You got to be the one that don't speak on her name. I know it's hard dealing with a petty person, an immature person, but you got to be the one that's a man that teaches them how to stand their ground, you know. And if all your attempts are just derailed, keep that, keep it updated. Show your children that paperwork when they reach out to you. Show them that you tried, because everybody, you know, in the world we live in, everybody not gonna get to have the relationship that they want with their children. It's not a fair world. It's not a fair society. It's not a fair judicial system, you know. But always document that you tried, you know, write your children letters, whatever it may be, to keep that connection. Keep your paperwork, you know. And any black woman, like I said, we have to start, our conversations have to start being different. Our conversations have to start changing. And we have to start holding the women in our groups accountable, our sisters, our friends, the women that, you know, the women that talk about it. We all talk. The thing is, we know all these, everything we've discussed up until now, the sisterhood knows. That's why I said it's fake, because we know all this stuff exists. But when it comes to us holding up our end of the bargain and our accountability and accepting our responsibility for a lot of the problems that we have created, opting out, opting for a check, and opting for government benefits over our families, we know that. We all know that we created it. We all know, but black women don't like to admit it. We like to say, "Oh, you always blame the women. The women gonna always be blamed, my dear." Like I say, you bring that belly home. That's your body, your choice, your responsibility, your consequence. So a woman will always be blamed. If your child has a hard life and you get home, you get evicted, or they going through it and they cussing you out, you will be blamed, my dear. They didn't ask for this.
That's an interesting point right there. The man, look, before we get to it, let me highlight the chat in a few, but are we finished with this slide? Because I want to
Yes, we're
move
done.
on, because
Yeah.
I got something I need to say, but I want to first we always got to give you your flowers and applause. We appreciate you. Look, I appreciate you dedicating the time that it takes to put together the content that you have done your research on, put your opinion on. You speak so passionately with the conviction that's necessary to make it make sense for the audience. The the passion that we have for correction is so misplaced. Imagine if we had this same type of passion tied into solutions, other
Right.
than, because we have to get through the criticisms and so we can get to the critiques, because there's a difference between the two.
Right.
Queen Smoke, you have done an amazing job, and I want to be the one to say it, because we're only going to get so far, before people start pointing fingers. And if we're not talking about solutions, then blaming is not going to solve the problem anyway. So at some point, we either more committed to perpetuating the problem or trying to have the conversations that create the solutions and other people's conversations as well. So I wanted to pivot to this right here. Men notoriously and without any type of pushback will say where we are in our community is our fault.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it takes a long road to get there or not, ultimately we have to accept that it's our fault as men from the leadership perspective, because you can't blame and lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we cannot blame and lead. The other part is that's just the baseline accountability. Where we are right now is that you said something that was very powerful that I'm coming back to. You said that it's, as far as you're concerned, it's going to always be our fault, right? From the woman's perspective. I want you to elaborate on that, because like I just said, the men accept that everything that we're dealing with is our fault.
Mm-hmm.
From a leadership perspective, what do you think it is always women's fault? Because I've never heard women say collectively that the problems in the community that lie on the women's side, they're not echoing that louder than saying that men suck.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can speak everybody's language,
Yeah.
So I know it'd be like a lot of women when they first meet me and like they first see my content, they feel attacked, of course, but off the bat, anything that goes against niggas ain't shit, they gonna feel attacked, So one thing I like to do is like build the trust, build the rapport, because they'll start to tell you everything. Like, you'll start to, it's like I guess I'm like a priest. They confess, like they be confessing. So like, when I was a little girl, my mom, she's from Belize, but she was born and raised in Compton, California, and Watts, So like, she always has been like this quiet person. That she one of 10. She's the youngest of 10. She likes to like watch people, like something that her and my dad got in common. They watch people, so she will always be like, I watch my sisters, I watch other girls in the neighborhood and stuff. And she said the moral of my story, I learned like a baby don't keep no man and a baby don't change no man, So my mom has 5 children with my father. They were together for 26 years of my life, She keep it real, because she was like when we first met, we weren't like, it wasn't about we gonna be married. We was kids, 17 and 19 years old, met at high school, all these things, but they got pregnant like a year into knowing each other with me. It wasn't like, for them, they both of their mothers were gone. Their fathers weren't really active. So it was like, we have a family to raise now, My mom said at first my dad, he wasn't with it. Like, my dad will tell you he wasn't with it. He's very open and candid. I love my parents because they make like the story of how they got together so humorous, but it's real. Like, I appreciate it, They never said this was my sweetheart, I was in love. No, they said I got your mama pregnant. And my dad said I was 17. I wasn't happy about it. I was upset. I told her, I didn't say I wasn't nice. And I told her some words, some choice words, you set me up pretty much.
Yeah.
And I like, as a kid, I don't feel offended. I don't feel ashamed. I'm laughing like, dang, it's hilarious. Like, I just wanted to know,
Right.
Eventually, of course, this 17-year-old kid came around like, okay, I'm gonna be there, And my mom, she could have said, oh no, you already hurt my feelings and you won't never see her. But my mom said, okay, my daughter needs a dad, ding, 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 for the win. Now, over time, the love grew, the children came, they got married. Over time, like, what I seen in my household, I never. And my dad always say like we was intentional on not arguing in front of you guys. We were just like we're gonna take a walk. You know, we're gonna like told my aunt sit with my kids real quick. We're gonna take a walk. We're gonna talk in out the house, or we wait till you guys go to sleep. Then we're gonna talk. We don't want to argue in front of y'all. They didn't have it down pat. I'm not talking about perfection. I'm talking about two people that knew we having a kid. Like it's not. It is what it is. We got to make it work. We got to try. And from them trying, it lasted almost 30 years, So every situation, the moral of my story, every situation is not going to be ideal. This may not be the person that you love. You might not like this person. This could have been a drunk night. You was at the club. You was vulnerable. Now your kid is coming 9 months later. Right. But how do we not know if our families can work if we don't try,
Facts.
How do we know? How my mom always had this saying, like, if you're compatible in the bedroom, you can raise some kids together, period. That was just her take on it. I don't know. Like, her parents had 9 kids, 10 kids together.
She cared about because like I believe some women, I don't think you get a mother and a wife out of the same woman all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like every father's not a leader,
Right.
And every man that has the biological capacity to impregnate a woman is not going to be a daddy, a father, or a husband.
Right.
I get that part. The fact that but going back to the duty part, she took ownership of the situation,
right.
and she worked with the situation as it was,
Right.
because people think love is about what makes you feel good. Love is about duty.
Absolutely.
And being a mother is a duty position. Being a wife is a duty position. Because you could live your life and not be either.
Absolutely.
You could just be an adult woman that's single by yourself and nobody to answer to, but if you have children without a marriage and a healthy agreement, for parenting, you're gonna have to answer to your children at some point.
Right.
It's coming, whether you believe it or not. And when it gets there, if you've been living your life on emotions, and if it's not perfect, they're gonna hurt you with what you did. They're not gonna make anything up. You try to gaslight your way all the way through it. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. So. But
the main example is Sierra for a lot of women.
Have you seen the videos where her daughter is singing her music?
No, I have not.
Oh man, like I can't play it because I don't want the rights to, interfere with the stream.
Right.
Later on, but they played it shows Sierra talking to her daughter, and I think her daughter was doing like an interview. Like when they had like one of those mother-daughter interviews or whatever.
Yes.
And they asked her daughter what was your favorite song, from your mom. And that song Ride that Sierra has, her daughter was singing in every word, like, and Sierra sitting there looking like just extremely uncomfortable.
Wow.
I'll probably add it to this, when I do some editing or whatever. But yeah, I watched it, and shout out to Sydney for sending me that, wherever she is. I know she's watching right now, but yeah, that was extreme. Like I'm telling you, man, I believe that once you involve children in your life, you don't have any more privacy. Your privacy is delayed.
Absolutely.
So,
that's the truth. And 9 times out of 10, like, all your choices and behaviors your child will learn from you. A lot of Black mothers can't be accountable because of the decisions that collectively were made, and decisions that you already knew this is a bad decision. That's why a lot of Black women be like, oh, I used to like bad boys, or it's always a type. Like, the type is to be disrespectful. The type is to be toxic. It's a period, oh, I was young, dumb, and full of it. You know what I mean? It's always, we didn't know no better. But like I always say, everybody know that guy, he always followed me at school, or he always talked to me, or he was always in my DMs. You know the good guy. You don't want that. So that's what I said. We all know what our fault is choosing people we knew weren't ready for our bodies, for families, for a life with us. That's our problem. That's our fault. We do it. We know. If he only coming at midnight, he's not committed to no family. If he has a girlfriend or a wife, you know he's not committed to a family with you. I'm not talking about this man and he should have been faithful and he knew he was married. As a woman, the sister that you claim, the sisterhood is fake. Because as a woman, if you really a girl's girl, you would not sleep with a married man. You would not sleep with a man that got a girlfriend. You would not. But instead, y'all enticing them. Y'all want to ruin it. If y'all are miserable, y'all want everybody to be miserable with you, including your children. So it's definitely our fault. And it's going to continue to be our fault as long as we keep reproducing by black men and don't want them to be there. It's going to be your fault. It will.
Yeah.
So you got to own it. You want to own everything else. You want to be empowered with everything else. Own up to the fact that your children will be fucked up if you're a fucked up person and you don't allow them to have a relationship with their father. And if you keep choosing fucked up men and you're a fucked up woman, what do you expect? 1 + 1 is 2. You're creating a curse by just choosing horrible parents. And my dad used to always tell us, like, and my dad is he's such a comedian. He's like the comedian of the family. But his running joke is like, all DNA don't mix, you know? He said, I'm not just talking about race. I'm talking about characteristics. I'm talking about if somebody's addiction, somebody's a slow learner, somebody, you know, all DNA don't mix because you'll never know what the combination that you'll have with somebody. You got to vet people's whole family. You guys haven't even met to the baby shower. You know what I mean? You got to vet families. Like, damn, my baby eye gonna be twitching like that. Like my baby, you know, like you gotta see what's going on. A lot of y'all don't know till the kid comes here. Then, like I said, God forbid you have a special needs child. That's the least of your problems, having a child. If they come out with a special need, limbs missing, anything, childhood cancer, something, a childhood affliction, an illness. You guys don't get no geneticist test. He cute, that's who you want. He light skinned, that's who you want. She got a fat ass, that's who it is. Like, you don't even think. So your children already don't have a chance because you're not even a critical thinker as a parent. You don't care. But as women, yeah, it's our fault. Own it up. If you don't own up to it, you can't change it. If you don't admit it, you can't change it. If you don't name it, you can't change it.
Come on, man. I'm gonna get to some of the comments. Said the child thinks the father doesn't care when he never knew.
Absolutely.
And shout out to Andrea. You know. Let's see here. Miss Marvel and Petaway. One thing I tried to never do is keep them away or tell them anything that makes them look at him poorly, because I know that one day they'll see the truth for themselves. She's referring to her sons, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Oh, Jessica, always active in the comments. I'm trying to see where did my comment go? You could be the best co-parent and still end up on the shit end of the stick. Yeah, it's always a gamble, right? But the thing is about the gamble is that you're guaranteed to lose if you don't participate at all.
Absolutely.
So it's better to have tried and failed than to never have tried at all, you know. So then shout out to C Miles. She was in the comments on YouTube. She said her son's baby mama did have trauma as a child. She refused to get therapy for trauma. And then I asked how was she raised, and she said single mother, one child, mom very male identified, and has to keep a man. Child violated by the mom's boyfriend. And what I talk about, I have never met now let me say it like this. 90% of the black women that I have interacted with, I'm not saying that this don't happen in any other race. I'm talking about black women right now. So for those of you that say it doesn't just happen to black women, I'm not talking to you. 90% of the black women that I talk to have all been violated by a man before the age of 13, under the care of their mother, with their mothers denying that it actually happened to them.
Right.
And when I talk about that, I always pivot back to what type of trust does that create in women around other women? If your own mother denied you when you told her something happened to you that traumatic at a young age. So That comment right there goes to show you why women lie so much. That's one layer to it, that we can look at and go back to the source of it, peel it back, do a little bit of investigating without a whole lot of deliberation. And you could say people tell the truth when they in protected spaces. And children are really just inexperienced balls of emotional flesh that
Absolutely.
that that are honestly scared, what I'm saying, by default. And then they got an abusive, a verbally and a physically abusive parent that's also sexually promiscuous, that's putting their children in alignment with their poor dating practices,
Mm-hmm.
when they already choosing poorly. And this is why people are this is why men are disengaging from uh the stepdaddy reception. I call it there's a stepdaddy recession for a reason. And it increases even more because most of these women got good.
Okay. No, no, I can't hear you.
Mm. I can hear you.
I can hear you. I
It's
can.
just it was just a delay, whatever reason. Yeah, but like men are checked out and coming into these women's lives with
I'm telling you.
yeah, to
Mm-hmm.
especially if they got daughters. The risk is too high. When
Right.
when you can blame men with no evidence of anything, you know what I'm saying? And as of now, I'm gonna keep leaning on this. You can see
Mm.
with Sha'Carri Richardson and that situation where she was like, he's the man in the situation. And even if they got her on camera, and no matter if the cops was explaining to her that she doesn't control if they decide to arrest her because she still committed an assault on him,
Wow.
and they got it on camera. So,
Mm.
and even in that situation, with all of the evidence, she can still find a way to blame him. And nothing's gonna change until men start pressing charges on women.
Right.
I'm talking about for slander, defamation, what is it? Defamation of character, slander, libel, all types of, like legal terms that we have to use, because most men are not going out of their way to inconvenience themselves by arguing with women unless that's the way that they was raised.
Right.
Because this is gonna sound vulgar, but it's just the truth. Because it applies. Everything I say has transitive value and it goes both ways. And I want y'all to listen to me very carefully when I say this. As a man, if I don't come in her, and if I don't come from her, then she can't do nothing but work for me or twerk for me. Meaning there has to be some equity in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
On the woman's side, how that applies is the fact that if a man ain't doing nothing for you, then you should be doing anything with him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't owe each other anything but respect and boundaries. You know what I'm saying? So, except that it when you want to say something works both ways, that's what it sounds like when men understand exactly what both ways works out to be.
Mm-hmm.
So the root of everything comes back down to there's a lack of respect for men, and that's why men still keep on playing and still keep winning regardless of the type of women that they deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually men and women will have to deal with a man in uniform at some point, whether it be in
Right.
the form of CPS or the
Right.
Department of Corrections. So let's keep going through these comments. uh I love when Jessica be on her mother tip. You have to be a mother to expect respect. Mom isn't the title. Mother is acting like a friend and isn't being a mother, because what are they learning? I think she's saying you can't be a friend, you have to be a mother. And you have to perform as a mother, meaning show up and don't try to create a friendly situation with your kids just because it's easier than doing the hard work of telling your kids no.
Right.
You know. So who else we got? Ms. Miles again. I think the moms don't want the children to love the dad more than themselves. I think that was the case with my son. He is definitely hands on.
Mm.
Okay. So that's more context to some of the other comments that she had before. Let's see.
Can you go to Denasia after?
Denasia, let me see. Let me find Denasia. I definitely saw.
Right. That's a real good one.
Yeah, where's Denasia? There
Right.
we are. I
Yeah.
got it right here.
Hmm.
I noticed that I would unknowingly allow disrespect from a white man and correct a black man for holding me accountable. It's a real thing. Shout out to Denasia for even saying that.
Definitely shout out to you, girl.
Well, go ahead and you could talk about that if you want to.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate that. Like I said, you know, when we always get called a pick me when we know how to, say I can't see where a black man is coming from because I see it in my relationship with black women. Like you said, I can see that because I experienced it in our relationship. A lot of black women like this. They shook and jive at the job for their white man, they boss. They shook and jive, but they come home and they ready to fight. They disrespectful to the kids. They disrespectful to the man that's helping them provide everything, whole lifestyle, everything. He get the least amount of respect. But that white man that they can't stand, they gonna bite through their own tongue for him.
And don't even realize they're doing it.
Right.
And and what's like we said before the show, I've gotten down to the point where you could just compare the way that the type of treatment that people accept
Mm-hmm.
to the way that they was cultured and raised.
Right.
If you believe a job has more weight than your relationship, it's because you're tired of performing for validation from your relationship.
Right.
And you probably got somebody that's unappreciative. Well, you might be the unappreciative person. Well, somebody's unappreciative in the scenario, right? And most people that attract unappreciative people and low self-esteem relationships come from families where they never got the nurturing from their mother,
Right.
the validation from their mother. Um, or even if they had their dads, the dads was probably overran by the mother. Again, that's the part where if the men are present, it's their fault for a lack of leadership and inability to assert themselves. But
Right.
even when you go down that daisy chain, that man is probably raised by an overbearing mother too, who watched,
Mhm.
who overran his father,
Right.
which goes back to the slideshow that you put together with, like that connection showing like if you undervalue the presence of a child's father, eventually he's not the child mother. I mean, the child's whether it's a son or a daughter grows to not value the presence of a man either.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and so how that trickles back down and comes out in modern relationship, like that's like a whole time travel. You can kind of see it
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
behavior is imprinted so young, it doesn't change. Like you are who you are, behavior and whatever you're interested in at a very young age. And the
Right.
only thing that kind of changes that is if you go from either being extremely undisciplined to having a culture shock or reality check that makes you completely do a 180.
Right.
Notice I said 180 because a lot of you guys like saying you changed your lives because you did a 360. No,
We did the same thing.
the 360 brings you right back to where you
Right.
should be.
Absolutely.
A 180 is the opposite direction. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You can even do a 90-degree turn or a 45-degree turn. That's
Right.
better than
Right.
doing a 360. Stop doing 360s, man. Do
Right.
45s, 180s, and 90s. Okay. But not a 360. You never change your pattern if you end up in a 360.
Right.
So with that being said, you can easily see, and I'd argue 90% of the time I'm gonna be right when it comes down to that. The other time, the other 10%, I was asleep or I wasn't there, and somebody else used my name in vain or whatever. You know what I'm saying in terms of that. But the point being is that you don't have to do much to deviate from your pattern. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Uncle Junior. You know, he just commented too.
Hello.
And see what he said. He said, look, you can do a 1 degree turn, and over time it can be a good thing. You don't only have to change that many different things in your life.
Right.
You don't have to be overwhelmed. You can remove one element, just like removing one element changes the psychological imprint for a child. You could do the same thing by removing one thing, you know. So but some people remove the most major piece, where most of the solutions are going to be. And a lot of these men will take these kids off your hands.
Right.
And say, hey, look, let me go ahead and give me my kids. You know what I'm saying? Let me raise them so I don't have to listen to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And do a better job at it. It's facts.
because see, there's the other dynamic. It would be different if the single father households were underperforming the single mother households.
Right.
But we know who's outperforming who. And the single father households are outperforming the single mother households.
Absolutely.
So you can't warrant all of this praise for doing your basic duty as a mother without accepting all of the criticisms and critiques that come with it also. So the time for praising you only is over with.
Absolutely.
If you want to hear nothing but praise again, go back play the old albums. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Go play the stuff you did when he was 6.
Right.
You're not 16. You got room for improvement.
Absolutely.
Take the advice that you give your kids. And that ought to tell you exactly why your kids are where you are.
Right.
Where they are. Because of you. No, you can't blame everybody. What else we got? Man, look. Shout out to C Miles. Yeah, said, hey, appreciate that.
Thank you for tuning in.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. It's sad that all those years are wasted because the mother. Yep, it is. And all it took was somebody not feeling.
Absolutely.
We gotta grow up. Like, you wouldn't even give that advice to your own children. But unfortunately, you probably would. We have to believe that at this point.
Right.
And it's been this way for a very long time. A lot of stories have been concocted that have pedestalized the emotions of a woman. I'm talking about, like, even, let's just take it out of Black folks, right? Even on film, the story about the Titanic that's been adapted to film was really about an old woman. Well, it was told from an old woman's lips about how she wanted to get on the boat and cheat with somebody that was older than her.
Right. Absolutely.
It's so many stories just built off of cheating. You know what I'm saying? And then really becoming a martyr for just sexual inhibition. You know,
right.
We got to get better than this. This is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like the words that, like, okay, C Miles brought up pride. You know, everything that we're talking about that deals with emotions is what I talk about being emotionally undisciplined.
Right.
If you're emotionally undisciplined, you're doing everything with your ego. Everything with your ego. Okay. Disciplined decisions don't come from your emotions. And you wouldn't pay somebody to feel their way through helping you. You would pay someone to think and solve the problem. You can't solve problems with your emotions. You're just going to create more.
Right.
That's why, like, I always keep my finger on the pulse of, you know, like, people's sexual behavior, because this is why we need greater sex education. Because all they did was show us how to use our parts or what our parts go. But it ain't talking about the emotional and psychological burden that comes with making the wrong decision. Because making babies with the wrong people is witchcraft, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because you're creating something out of nothing. but feelings.
Right.
And if you're a slave to your biology, then I don't want you around me, you know, because how many times do you make good decisions when you make a sudden decision? And here,
Hardly ever.
hardly ever. So you see what the acronym says: sexually undisciplined dating decisions ending negatively.
Right.
This is why I talk about that low self-esteem, that all of that incompatibility and everything, because it's built on lust,
Right.
and you either gonna have lust or trust. You're not gonna have both.
Right.
You're not gonna have both. You know what I'm saying? So that's where all of this stuff come from. You know what I'm saying? So the um the consequences are high. Let me see here. Uncle Junior got a question. If it's not being taught at home, where should sexual discipline be taught? I think it's being taught now. I think the teachings are coming out over social media from other people's experiences, because experience is the best teacher if you're paying attention. If you
Right.
want solutions, it's not hard to find. You know, the people want to know. Let's say Andrea said, I just saw a reel. The dad had all the paperwork and the mom still caused problems. She said, "You're making my son cry." The son said, "No, you're making me cry." He's so aware and already at 8 years old. Yes, children have had their intelligence downplayed and like
For generations, definitely.
like that's a good conversation. That scenario leads to a great conversation, because we come from the generation, like I'm 10 years older than you. So my parents were boomers. Your parents were boomers too, I imagine. So you're probably just the younger of the kids, you know what I'm saying, from the boomer generation. But our parents was raised with uh by our grandparents that told them to shut up and do as I said
Right.
and not
Right.
as I do. And then our parents raised us without the internet, and then with the internet, it was shut up and do. Child is supposed to be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, do what I tell you to do, but they never told us why it was
Right.
important for us to do with that. And if we did, that's when you get popped in the mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then now our generation, that's in our age bracket, that's got kids, our generation's grandparents now.
Right.
I'm 46, and shout out to Uncle Junior. You know what I'm saying? Like he got some grandkids and stuff, and we talk about this. Um, it's so much information. It's like literally no reason to get mad and lead with a heavy hand on anything. You know,
Right.
you don't have to use harsh words. Like if you cut your kids off from giving them the answers, they're gonna go find it on the internet.
Thank you. Simple. Or go be misinformed from a friend at school.
Yep,
They go find it.
yep. They're gonna lean on the whatever's influencing their day. Whoever has the most access to them, that's
Right.
what they're gonna trust the most information from, and good, good or bad information.
Right.
And then you don't even know where that person that's giving them that information or giving them that example. What are they doing when they're away from you? And you're starting to see all of these content creators that's been given all of this great advice. You're starting to see a lot of their dirty laundry coming to bear fruit.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know,
Gotta
even
tread lightly. You gotta walk it like you talk it,
yep.
because
So you in this age with so much access to information, the worst thing you could do is dismiss your child's opinion on something.
right.
The best thing you could do is take that child's opinion on something and sit down and build a bridge in an agreement with them. Because if you just shut them up, all you're doing is raising slaves. You're raising rebellion. You know what I'm saying? Like our generation was raised to be yes men and yes women and pick me's and simps and everything else that we, so you know what I'm saying, are seemingly overcoming right now out loud.
Right.
And the children from that level of thinking and parenting are trying to comb through your dysfunction, and you don't even know why you chose what you chose. So I think they're gonna learn it, in certain ways and methods. And just like Uncle Junior asked the question of where they need to learn it, then Andrea says, you know, gives an example of what she's already seen, and an 8-year-old knows what they want and what they need.
Right.
Let's see. Uncle Junior, man, he over here flexing a little bit. 3 boys, all grown, all serving in the military. Shout out to my boys. Hey, for real. That's a major accomplishment. Hold up, man. Let me go ahead and give you your flowers too, bro.
Definitely. That's amazing.
Yeah, this man to call in just to flex. That's all it is. Let's see. What else did he say? I get that, but there are also platforms that are not doing good and leading men in the wrong direction. Yeah, I have yet to come up with a plan to get those particular men's attention other than what I'm doing right now. I think the algorithm has to take care of that. I think the individual user has to decide that solutions are more important than entertainment and anything that is just focused on leisure. I think men have to get about being focused on duty. I think you have to do what you got to do before you could do what you want to do.
Right.
Doing what you want to do always feels good because it comes from a position of power and choice and options. Doing what you got to do means you don't have any options but the task that's in front of you. So until there's a psychological mind shift and everybody's focusing on the solution and everybody's typing in that phone looking for the same thing, the algorithm isn't going to change for those particular people. So when people start focusing on solutions and they want more from their own algorithm, then they will find this content that gives them the answer. That could be one of the tools that they can use for the answer. And then when they get here, they can always pick up the book. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the book, man. You got to know why you're choosing what you're choosing. And this book is Accountable Masculinity, and it's identifying the disciplined man in you. Now, it is written for men, but it's also written for women. This is a cheat code, for understanding how to vet the type of man that you know would enhance your life and how he needs to think. And you got to start dealing with people that care about solving problems, and I don't have a problem with going back and forth with certain people about things because the truth doesn't have to change its mind.
Right.
So let's see what we got here. How do young men that need sexual discipline determine what's good and what's bad? Kevin Samuels versus Fresh and Fit, different messages. I think, how do men that need sexual discipline determine what's good and what's bad? First, they have to decide what's in alignment with their purpose. If they care more about relationships and they want to be husbands and fathers, then their sexual discipline needs to be in alignment with that. And which means they need to come up with their screening criteria that makes sense, to have, to make that come into fruition, That's one piece of it. If they don't care about marriage or any of that, then they need to choose women on a transactional basis, something that keeps them safe, it keeps their situation functional, and it doesn't impede on what they're trying to accomplish. That's what I would recommend. Yeah, man. So I think that when it comes down to what men need to do in order to be in a position to lead and have authority, and I always say this, you can't have the least amount of resources and think that you can make the rules, and you can't keep making sudden decisions with the wrong women and thinking that you're going to get to where you're going, in one piece. You're going to end up showing up in the worst version of yourself. And the idea is like, you want to become the best version of yourself. Like nothing else makes sense. And The other thing is too, even if you're not certain, take the advice that you would give your own children if you had them.
Right.
I think that is the first step too. If you don't have a mentor, you're still going to be responsible for your own outcomes. So, in the absence of this information that you're getting right now, take the advice that you would give your own children. And if you don't have the advice to give, then you probably shouldn't make that decision. Take the advice that you would give your own children as if you would want your child to be independent and not need you to come bail them out from their bad choices.
Right.
So that's what I would like to say. I think it's a safe answer too, because in the app, because you don't know every single thing, right? And it's gonna always be a new problem.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything else that you would like to say before we get off here?
No, I just appreciate all the interaction today. You know, that's what keeps me going. Like, I know that we're doing the right thing. I know that saying things that nobody wants to say or that everybody's denying, that's not gonna ever get us to the goal. You know, and just being able to have the, you know, the support, that's what means the most to me.
Well, I don't have anything else to add, man. You know, I can't wait to see what you bring us next week. I'm pretty sure you already got a topic.
Yeah.
And for all you guys that was heavy on the engagement on Facebook and on YouTube, Twitch, where else are we at right now?
Instagram.
And Instagram too, yeah. So greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you go share this with your people. And, you know, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you all on the next trip. All right, folks. Appreciate you sticking with me to the end. This has been another episode of Beyond the Algorithm. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go get the book. And most importantly, I will see you beyond the algorithm. That's where life actually happens.